I know. I always preface when I see something on IMDb that I saw it on IMDb because it's like 70-30 as far as accuracy goes on there. But it states that your trademark character is someone who is arrogant, conservative, stickler to the rules, or even downright evil. Um, would people that only know you as the characters you play? I mean, I'm already surprised to meet you in person, but I guess the question would be: is there any similarities to the characters that you play to the real Beth Grant?
Well, my husband thinks so. He says, what they don't know is that's the real you, like Kitty Farmer and Donnie Darko. And he always teases me about that. I mean, one time I said to him, I said, why do I play so many religious fanatics? And he said, because you are one. I said, what are you talking about? That's not true. But I am very spiritual, and I do pray, I meditate, I'm fortunate that I have a most days I have a great faith, in life and humanity and in God. And I always say Jesus is my guy, which I know people might think that's a little sacrilegious, but that's the way it is for me. That's the way I play. It's not, all up in the sky with a list saying bad, good, bad, good. That's just not the way I do it. So I said, I am not, but I guess I am. That is my focus in life, is to try to be of service and try to be a channel of love. Even though these characters are sometimes like the one on Criminal Minds. I mean, I was a murderer and a kidnapper and a pedophile and just a horrible person. And when Matthew Gray Gubler talked to me about the role, I said, I'm not going to do this. I don't want to play this character. And he said, no, listen to me. He said, I'm doing it like a Grimm's fairy tale. And this is a cautionary tale to parents to watch their children, because there are a lot of kidnappings. And I mean, a lot of the kidnappings are familial, and it has to do with divorce or whatever, but not all. I mean, there are like 100,000 kidnappings a year, and it's that quick to take a child. I didn't know a lot of this previous to that. And he said, I want to do this as a cautionary tale. So then I said, I'm in. Maybe, yeah, maybe I'll save one child. Who knows?
Has there ever been a role that you turned down because a lot of the characters that you play are right there on the line of it, like where satire meets almost punching down at a stereotype of what a believer is has there ever been something that crossed the line too much for you where you didn't feel comfortable portraying somebody like that?
It was a remake of a Toby, I want to say Chainsaw Massacre.
Oh,
Texas
okay.
Chain.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
they kept coming back with more money, and it wasn't even that big a part. And I thought, why do they want me for this so badly? And I didn't want to do it. My husband said, no, you're not doing it. It's too much. And I called my friend Todd Holland. You mentioned Malcolm in the Middle, who put me on Malcolm in the Middle. He's my dear friend. We did a pilot together called Five Houses. I did The Wizard, that he directed a film, this big cult movie.
The Nintendo
Um,
commercial.
yeah, that's
Yeah, yeah.
right. That's it. And so Todd said to me, always ask yourself, what are you putting in the universe? And so I've tried to have that be my guideline ever since then. And that was 20 years ago, I guess. I remember recently, my agent, again, I can't remember exactly the character, but I know I felt I didn't like the tone. It was a hateful tone, and there was nothing rewarding about it. And I remember saying to him, I said, I don't like the tone of this. I don't think they're up to any good. They're salacious. And
Yeah.
there've been a couple of things. I think things, no judgment, everybody to each his own, as they say. That's what my mother said on her deathbed. I was making amends to her for something, and she said, oh, Beth, everybody has their own path. And I thought, you know, that's a very good thing to leave me with, because it sort of like keeps me from being in the judging business. I can just like let people live their lives, accept people, and let life just go on. I'm not in charge. I'm not the boss. I'm not God. I don't need to play God,
Well, Morgan Freeman's already done that, so
Every,
nobody else is playing
everyone
That's
God.
right.
everyone has their own paths, and some of them are leading straight to hell.
Now, before we get off that subject, let me ask a quick question. Now, to the best of my recollection, I think I've only seen you, as you talked about earlier. you mainly played one type of character, and I think again you answered this question with the kidnapping. But is there a role that you did accept that allowed you to totally break away from the norm of what you've done? And was it that role, or was there another role that like, I'm not doing this, I'm completely someone else, and I'm going for it?
Huh, that's interesting. Well, it's funny because Rain Man was actually a wonderful mother. She was protecting
Hmm.
her kids in her home. I don't know
Hmm.
how I took a wrong turn after that.
No more kids. Get them out of here. I can't do it.
Well, there's a movie out called Blues for Willowdene, and it's Octavia Spencer, Dale Dickey, and me, and then an actor named David Steen. And it was a play first, and Del Shores, the writer who did Sordid Lives, also wrote it for Octavia and me. And I played a victim of domestic violence, and her name is Willowdene Winkler. And honestly, I love her so much. She was a good person. I mean, I don't want to tell you the ending if you haven't seen it, but I'm not saying that she's perfect, but she's trying to better herself. And she has this wretched husband who is, really a batterer. And she's a good person trying to change, trying to change. I remember telling my acting teacher, I don't want to play a victim. And he said, well, she's not a victim if she's trying to change. And I was like, right. That's my hook into her. So I would say she was like that. I did a play called Grace and Glory. And she's a 90-year-old Appalachian woman who's dying of cancer. And this do-gooder volunteer has just moved to town, and she comes out to her cabin to help her. And they are just like this. But, by the end of the play, they are like this. And it's beautiful play. I love it so much. I hated for it to close. I would love to do it again. And I've still got time. I can do it for the rest of my life, possibly.
Yes.
I could get to do it again. So I always think, maybe I'll do it with my daughter or something like that. She could play that character. She's a very talented actress, went to Juilliard, so on. So I don't know, but those two. But then in television, I haven't always played terrible people, but you're right. When I think about it, the parts are going through my mind, I think, oh, a lot of them are like that. So I don't know.
You're nothing like those. You're awesome. You're nothing like those characters. You're
Oh,
awesome.
thank you. Thank you. Well, I appreciate it. But I was going to say, I think my chin and my nose, and I have thin lips. And so I have a sort of a typical crone, they call it, a witch face as you get older. And I think it has to do with just the way I look, because obviously, I did fix my hair because I was coming to see you guys. But, when I have my hair pulled back and no makeup, and if I have an ugly look on my face, my daughter, when she was little, sometimes would say to me, Mama, why are you mad? And I said, I'm not mad. And I learned to smile all the time, because she thought I was mad. And I wasn't. I was just my face. So I don't know. I think, God gave me this face for a reason. And it's, I play him to the hilt if I get the chance. I'm trying to think, what am I getting ready to do? Oh, I have a wonderful character coming out on Goliath, that show on Amazon.
Mhm.
I play a tough judge, and she's tough, but she's really my homage to RBG. And you never know what they use and what they don't use. But I did 5 episodes, and I will tell you that however she turns out, I did have a heart. And I hope that you get to see it. I hope you can say, oh, there it is. I see her. So I try to, even when I'm playing these terrible characters, I try to give them a backstory inside myself, and I try to find something in them, like Little Miss Sunshine, that character, her whole life was that pageant. And she had learned over the years that if she let a hair get out of place, that the whole thing could fall apart. And so, she was way too rigid, but and Kitty Farmer and Donnie Darko, I feel my heart goes out to them, that they have to cling to that rigidity in their lives because they're so scared to death, So I love all my characters in their own way, strangely enough.
Why don't you subscribe? It'll last longer.